had started getting up on a project on the Hello Girls from World War I, the switchboard operators, who ended up 60 years later being essentially the first soldiers when they were finally recognized as being in the military rather than being civilian employees of the Army. The incredible bravery and leadership shown by the World War I women, the Yeomanettes, the World War II, they're all coming from an era, and even Korea, where women didn't go out in the world. They stayed home and they did, the family thing. And here are these women just picking up and going over to different places, even if it was just within the United States. They're still picking up and going away from their families in situations that isn't what women did. They are the most incredible women. And they set the stage for the rest of us to come after them.
When we fell out for chow, we had 7 minutes to get dressed, and you had to have lipstick on, because if you didn't have lipstick on, you got a demerit. And 7 demerits, you couldn't get off the base. So it was important. And you never knew when. So it was amazing how it was. We thought 7 minutes, we could do it in 5 or less, because you got used to doing it.
We wore the starched white uniforms. And I said we had to keep them in this one building. And we would go over, because I lived off base, and we would come in and our uniforms would be there. The uniform had to stand by itself before it would pass inspection. And she's like, and you put up with this? I said, you know what? That was how it was.
And some of the challenges were being female. There was one command that I went to that I was the first female at the command. And I went in as I think it might have been a 3rd class or E4. And I worked my way up to 1st class and ended up being the shop leader. And some of the guys weren't real happy about that, but them's the breaks. And I actually worked really hard. I found I had to work harder than I felt the guys were working to get where I got. But I was ready to do that.
Well, this happened a couple years later. I was able to retrain into air traffic control. And I remember one guy in particular who just always gave me a hard time about being a woman in the Air Force. And it just got old in a hurry, and I was bound and determined that I was going to get a better score and do better in the class than he did. And I don't remember now if I did, but I know that that type of attitude directed to me made me fight harder to get where I wanted to be, and I was determined to exceed, and I did.
Now that's one thing that went wrong for me, because I did not have a mentor. See, young people need mentors, because there are a lot of things you don't think about. Like, I didn't have a mentor to tell me, take that officer training school, do that. Don't let that opportunity pass you by. Well, another mistake was I did not stay 20 years because I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed being in the Air Force, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to enlist because I knew it was very important that I finish college. So this one lieutenant said to me, whatever you decide, make sure you continue your education. So that's the choice I made. But I'm very sorry that I didn't stay 20 years, make it a career. because I really know I would have been one of those high-ranking black female officers.
And I was up in the exchange, walking through doing something in uniform, and I had 4 young ladies come up to me very timidly, and only one of them would speak. And she said, "Master Chief, can we ask you a favor?" And I said, "Sure, what is it?" She said, "Can you talk to us for a little while?" I said, "Why?" She says, "We've never seen a female Master Chief before." So I sat down, I probably spent an hour and a half with them, just talking to them about what they wanted to do in the Navy and how they were doing in their school and how their families were and things like that. But I got to do that a few times where I was in a position where I was the first one that had come in. I mean, I was the first female Master Chief at Defense Intelligence Agency.
When I worked in the FAA, I was part of groups that would go to schools and help educate young girls to, hey, if you want to learn how to fly an airplane, go for it. If you think that air traffic control or even aircraft maintenance is something that interests you, go for it. You don't have to be pigeonholed into an administrative job or, or something like that. And not to say that those aren't important jobs, and they are, but if that's not something that you're interested in and you have a path to go somewhere else, at least try it. That's the best advice I would give to anybody, is if you even have an inkling that you want to try something, go for it.
I think women that serve today have more opportunities maybe than we had. Now, like when I was in the Air Force, they didn't allow us to carry guns, but I think nowadays they do. But we didn't. And see, I think most of us in my time were personnel, paperwork, or food service. But see, nowadays the girls are doing everything.
Going back and thinking about things and thinking about the differences, the way that the military were treated when I was first in, the way that they're treated now, night and day, completely night and day. I can guarantee you that back when I was in the Army, no one was going to buy my lunch. And I've had that happen where people have, the waitress will come up and say, "The gentleman who just left," and they don't even stick around for you to say thank you. "The gentleman who just left bought your meal. Don't worry about it."
When people would say, "Thank you for your service," I would always say, "Why are they thanking me for my service? I didn't go to Korea. I didn't really fight. And those soldiers on that trip, that's the one lesson that they taught me. Don't you ever think that way, because you signed up. You did what you were asked to do. You gave your service. So you deserve the thank you that you get." So nowadays, when people say thank you for your service, I thank you for your gratitude. I thank you for appreciating it.
When people say thank you for your service, I always say I'm glad to have served, and I truly am.